The screen turned black for a second. Then, without warning, it began. Across thousands of worlds, across millions of ships and homes, the same broadcast appeared at the same time. There was no warning, no voiceover, no explanation, just one cold, terrifying scene. 50,000 humans, kneeling, their hands tied, their faces dirty, tired, afraid, and behind them, alien soldiers holding weapons. The entire galaxy watched. Some were confused, some were curious, but Earth was silent. Then the killing started, row by row, blast after blast, one by one. The humans fell. Their bodies hit the hard metal floor like empty bags. Their blood ran like rivers. There was no music, no mercy, no fast cuts. Just one long, slow execution for 37 minutes. The galaxy saw everything. When the last shot fired, the screen turned black again. The broadcast ended. But the fear had just begun. In a deep underground base on Earth, Commander Arlen Graves stood still. His face was stone, his eyes fire. He had watched the video 17 times in the last 3 hours. Behind him, 6 generals waited. No one spoke. No one breathed loud. Finally, Graves said one word: names. A tall woman stepped forward. We've confirmed identities of over 32,000 victims. Scientists, teachers, peace workers. Most were not soldiers, were not criminals. Graves nodded once. Who did this? Another voice answered. We tracked the signal to a prison moon sector 9Z near the Kalari Empire, controlled by the Galactic Council. So the Council killed them? Graves asked. They approved it, the voice replied. But someone else broadcast it. Graves turned slowly. Ato's voice dropped. They wanted us to see. Across the galaxy, leaders scrambled. Press releases were written. Spokesmen gave long speeches filled with empty words. This was a tragic mistake. We condemn such violence. You're investigating. But Earth didn't answer. Earth didn't speak. Earth didn't cry. It prepared an orbit above Earth. A massive ship powered up the Retribution, black as night, built in secret. Not for defense, not for exploration, for revenge. Inside it, soldiers from Earth's deadliest Four-Saber division prepared. In silence, these weren't ordinary soldiers. These were the ones who had nothing left to lose. Some had lost families. Some had been tortured. Some had already died once and been brought back. Now they were being sent again. This time, not to fight a war but to deliver a message. Graves walked into a small room. Giant screen lit up. It played the execution again. He didn't blink. He watched every face, every scream, every last breath. When the screen went dark, he spoke. To those who watched and did nothing, he paused. To those who ordered it, he looked directly into the camera. We are not asking for answers. We are coming for them. On a distant alien world, in the palace of the Galactic Council, panic spread. Counselors screamed at each other. This will start a war. They're just humans. Why do they care? You don't understand Earth. They remember everything. Old alien whispered, we killed their future thinkers, their dreamers, their builders. And now they send monsters. Back on Earth, Graves stood before his team. 50,000 souls, he said, were murdered in cold blood, their only crime being human. No one moved, no trial, no chance, just fear. Fear of what we might become. He walked past the rows of soldiers. We were not weak. We were rising. That scared them. Graves stopped. So now, we show them what fear truly feels like. At midnight, the stars above Earth blinked. It wasn't natural. It was ships, hundreds, leaving not for diplomacy, not for answers, but for justice. The last scene was quiet. A small child sat with his mother on Mars. He asked, Mama, why were the people on the screen crying? The mother didn't answer right away. Then she said, because the galaxy forgot. Their voices. The child looked up. Will Earth forget too? She smiled gently, looking at the stars. No, Earth remembers. The galaxy was quiet. Two quiet ships moved, planets turned, suns burned. But in the hearts of billions, there was only one thought. What will Earth do now? The broadcast of the execution hadn't just shown death, it had shown cruelty. 50. 1,000 humans, killed like animals, for no reason. And everyone saw it. On news networks, aliens debated. Some said it was Earth's fault. Others claimed it was a misunderstanding. But deep down, even the council knew they had made a mistake they couldn't undo because Earth wasn't answering, and that scared everyone. Inside the command deck of the Retribution, Earth's largest warship, silence ruled. Commander Arlen. Graves stood in front of the galaxy map. Red dots marked the enemies. Blue dots marked their own fleet. But one large pulsing white dot blinked in the center. That dot was Sector 9Z, the place where 50,000 had been murdered. Graves turned to his. "Officers, where's the message from the council?" "Nothing yet, sir," the officer replied. "They've gone completely dark." Graves narrowed his eyes. "Good. Let them feel what silence tastes like." In the lower decks of the Retribution, Saber Division soldiers sat in rows. Each one wore black armor with no names. Their faces were cold, their eyes sharp. Some were young, some old. El had lost someone in the massacre. One soldier, Marcus Kane, stared at a photo. A little girl smiled back at him, his daughter. She was one of the 50,000. Next to him, a woman whispered, "Was she there?" He nodded once. "No tears, just fire. Do you think they'll say sorry?" she asked. Marcus looked at her and replied, "No, but we're not here for sorry." On the edge of the galaxy, a small alien ship approached the Earth fleet. It sent out a weak signal. "This is Council Envoy 3. We request safe passage. We want to explain what happened." Graves watched. "The message in silence?" the bridge officer asked. "Do you want to respond?" Graves leaned forward, his voice low. "Tell them to go back." "But sir, tell them. They had their chance to explain. Now we do the talking." In the Kalari Empire, panic spread like fire. The Emperor called an emergency meeting. His voice shook. "You fools. You executed humans on a council moon without trial, and you let the galaxy see it." One general replied, "They were a threat." The Emperor banged the table. "Now we are the target. Earth is moving, and their silence is a war drum." The younger commander asked, "Should we apologize?" Everyone went quiet. Then the Emperor whispered, "Apologies won't stop what's coming." On Earth, people watched the skies parents held. Their children closer. Shops stayed closed. Cities dimmed their lights. It felt like mourning, but also like preparation. Every human knew what had happened, but not a single one begged for peace. Instead, they waited for revenge. A reporter on Earth's biggest news channel said, 50,000 lives were stolen. Earth did not cry. It remembered, and now it rises. On the Retribution, Graves spoke to the fleet, all commanders. "Prepare for first phase. We enter council space in 12 hours. No warnings, no requests, no messages." One commander asked, "Sir, do we plan to negotiate at any point?" Graves looked into the screen. Negotiation ended the moment they pulled the trigger. Meanwhile, deep inside the Kalari High Command, Council member Virox argued with his advisors. "They're just humans. They're emotional, yes, but they've never dared attack the Council." An aide interrupted, "Sir, you don't understand. This isn't war for them. It's personal." Another advisor whispered, "And humans never forget personal." Virox turned pale. "Then what do we do?" The room fell silent. No one had an answer. 12 hours later, Earth's fleet reached the edge of Council-controlled space. All black, all armed, all waiting, the Council sent out messages again. "We demand a conversation. We didn't approve the broadcast. We had no part in the executions." Earth ignored them all. Then finally, one human ship sent a single message. "You watched them die. Now we want to hear you scream." In the shadows of Earth's intelligence unit, agents activated a different kind of war. Hackers released files to the galaxy, video clips, hidden reports. Secret orders, it showed the truth. The council had approved the killing. They had feared Earth's rise. They wanted to send a warning, but the warning backfired. Now Earth was the storm, in a refugee ship above a neutral moon. A group of alien children sat with their teacher. One child asked, "Will Earth destroy us all?" The teacher shook her head slowly. "No, Earth isn't like that." "Then what will they do?" The teacher paused. She didn't know the answer. But she remembered Earth's history. When Earth fought, it fought with fire. But when Earth loved, it loved deeply. That's why the pain ran so deep in the final hour of preparation. Graves stood in front of a camera. He recorded a message. "This is for the galaxy." He looked into the lens. "We are not monsters. We are not savages. We didn't come to conquer." He paused. "But when you execute our people, when you silence their voices, we will come." He stepped closer, and when we come, we bring the truth with us. Graves shut off the camera, then turned to his soldiers. Time to move. The first Earth ship crossed the border into Council space. Didn't hide, didn't send warnings. It moved like a predator walking into enemy land, slow and steady. Behind it, thousands more followed. Together, they looked like a swarm of black shadows heading into the heart of the galaxy. The Council scrambled. Every planet under their control received a message. Brace for possible contact. Earth fleet is moving, but no one knew what Earth wanted. No one knew if this was invasion, retaliation, or something worse. Most believed Earth would come screaming for justice, crying for answers. They were wrong. The Earth ships didn't speak. They didn't send threats. They didn't ask for talks. They just moved. And that silence was louder than any weapon. On the bridge of the Retribution, Commander Graves stared at the stars on the screen. Each glowing dot was a council-controlled system. He tapped one Cheller's Prime, the planet where the executions had happened. "Bring it up," he ordered. The screen zoomed in. The moon orbiting Calaris Prime showed the exact location where Earth's civilians had been slaughtered. Graves watched the footage again. No matter how many times he saw it, it still burned his soul. Men, women, children, all forced to kneel. All shot in the head, one by one. No trial, no mercy. "Cowards," he whispered. His officer asked, "Should we bomb the moon, sir?" Graves shook his head. "No, not yet. That moon is where they died. We won't destroy it. We'll use it." "Use it how, sir?" "We'll remind the galaxy what the Council did. Not with words, with action." Retribution changed course. It headed straight for the moon. On Calaris Prime, alarms began to ring. Citizens panicked. The local council governor sent a message to the Earth fleet. "We had no idea about the executions. Those orders didn't come from us. We are innocent." Earth did not respond. The council governor sent another message. "Please, we have families. Children, we are not your enemy." Still, Earth said nothing. People started running from the cities, loading ships, trying to escape. But Earth's blockade was already in place. No one in, no one out. Then Earth sent its first signal, not a message, not a warning. It was a broadcast to the whole galaxy. The footage of the 50,000 executions played on every screen, over and over again. No edits, no music. Just the raw, horrifying truth. And then, after 5 minutes of silence, one line appeared on the screen in every language you watched. "You said nothing. Now we act." The message shook the stars in the council chambers. Panic broke out. "They're not coming for negotiation. They'll burn everything. We must respond, send diplomats." But Earth didn't want diplomats. It wanted to be heard. On board the Retribution, Graves met with his top officers. Around the table were generals from Earth's Core Army Saber Division, Ghost Recon, Orbital Strike Command. Each one had blood in their eyes. Each one had a personal reason to fight. "We don't strike first," Graves said. The officers stared at him, confused. "We let them shoot first. We give them every chance to do the right thing, and we crush them." "But what if they don't attack?" one general asked. Graves looked down. They already did. Meanwhile, deep inside the Kalari High Council, fear spread like fire. Leaders knew they had messed up. The execution order was real. It had been approved by 2 council members in secret, fearing that Earth's growing power would shift the balance. But now the secret was out. Earth's hackers had leaked everything. The Colry citizens were now protesting in the streets. Earth did nothing wrong, they shouted. They murdered innocents. Some brave aliens even waved Earth's flag. They didn't want war. They wanted justice. But Earth wasn't waiting for protests to fix things. In orbit above the moon of the massacre, the Retribution launched its first move. Not a weapon, a beacon. A giant floating memorial satellite. Glowing blue slowly began to transmit a message every 10 seconds. This is where they died. Never forget. It repeated across the galaxy. People cried. Others got angry. The Council, furious, sent a fleet to protect the honor of Kalaris Prime. They called Earth's beacon a provocation. But Graves knew what he was doing. He wasn't just launching missiles. He was launching truth. The Council fleet reached the moon. They didn't talk. They fired. Their missiles struck the beacon. The explosion lit up the sky. The message stopped. But not for long. Seconds later, Earth's warships activated. Dozens of them turned toward the Council fleet. One final message came from the Retribution. You made your choice. Then all hell broke loose. Lasers tore across space. Explosions lit up the blackness. Council ships screamed for backup. Earth's fleet moved like a machine. Every ship knew its role. Every weapon hit its mark. They weren't just attacking. They were executing a plan written in rage and silence. The battle didn't last long. Earth didn't lose a single ship. The Council fleet was destroyed in 13 minutes. Not a single survivor. In the aftermath, Earth didn't celebrate. They didn't cheer. They just rebuilt the beacon and left it glowing over the moon. This time, the message changed. It now said, you tried to erase their voices. Now their names will echo forever. Across the stars, billions watched in silence. No one could believe what they were seeing. Earth had not begged. It had not wept. It had not asked for mercy. It had simply come, and it had answered death. With silence, truth, and unstoppable force, the galaxy was no longer the same, and Earth was just getting started. The Council was broken. After the defeat at Kalaris Prime, fear spread through every planet under their control. The message was clear. It was not here to talk. It was here for justice. But Earth didn't move forward with more attacks. It did something worse. It began collecting names. The Retribution sent a new message across the stars. It showed the faces of the Council leaders who signed the execution order. The footage came with sound, audio logs, stolen files, secret meetings, all exposed by Earth's AI intelligence units. Each name came with a face. Each face came with the words, "This one helped murder 50,000 civilians." Every citizen of every race saw it. The entire galaxy now knew who was behind the mass killing. Some of the Council members tried to hide. Others denied everything. A few even escaped into deep space. But Earth's agents were already moving. They weren't soldiers. They were hunters. Special. Teams known as the Shadows of Earth. Silent, invisible, deadly. They didn't attack planets. They didn't use giant weapons. They walked into rooms and the guilty never walked out again. In the underground cities of Zarnok 3, a Council commander was found poisoned in the luxury. Towers of Galan 12, a high minister, fell from the 80th floor.
Ow!
No witnesses. No signs of struggle. In the deep mines of Vestrox, another one vanished completely. Only a symbol was left behind, a burning star etched into stone. That symbol meant one thing. Earth had been there. The message spread across the stars. You killed the innocent. Now, Earth hunts the guilty. Back on Earth, billions watched the news unfold. But they weren't celebrating. They weren't cheering. They were grieving. Every street corner had screens playing the names of the 50,000 who died. Every park had memorial statues. Every night, a blue light rose into the sky in silence. The world didn't forget. The world didn't forgive. But the world stayed focused. in space. The Retribution headed toward its next target, the Council homeworld. It wasn't just a planet, it was a fortress. Layers of defense, billions of people, hundreds of ships protecting it. No one had ever attacked it, not once in 1,000 years. But now Earth was coming, and it wasn't coming alone. As Earth moved forward, something unexpected happened. Other civilizations started contacting Earth not to fight, but to help. The Xeran people sent warships. "We remember how the Council killed our refugees," they said. "Earth is not alone." The humans replied with one sentence: "We don't want allies, we want truth." The second message Earth sent was even more shocking. It invited the whole galaxy to a public trial. Yes, a trial. Earth didn't want revenge. It wanted justice, but not through war alone. It wanted everyone to see what had really happened. It wanted the lies broken in front of the stars. The location of the trial was carefully chosen, the same moon where the executions took place. The Council tried to stop it. They said it was illegal. They said it was a trap. They told their members not to attend. But it didn't matter. The first witnesses arrived. Anyway, a Kalari scientist who saw the orders firsthand, a security guard who watched the executions from a tower and couldn't sleep since that day, even a young alien boy whose mother was among the 50,000 Earth set up the courtroom in open space-clear glass walls floating above the moon's surface. Every moment of the trial would be broadcast live to every corner of the galaxy, and sitting in the main seat, wearing black armor with a silver stripe, was Commander Graves. He stood up as the first criminal was brought in counselor dress. The same man whose signature was first on the execution order. His face was pale, his arms were bound, his voice trembled. "I was just following orders," he said. Graves stepped forward. "Then you'll face justice with them." The first trial began. Evidence was shown. Audio logs played. Dresk's own voice was heard, laughing with another leader while signing the death sentence. Some people watching began to cry. Others began to scream at the end of the trial. The sentence was passed. Guilty. He was taken away in silence. The second counselor was next. Then the third. Each trial lasted no more than 2 hours. The evidence was heavy. The truth was brutal. And every time Earth ended the trial with the same words: "The stars are watching. We will not let this happen." Commander Graves stood in the center of the courtroom, his hands locked behind his back, eyes focused on the next prisoner being dragged in. His armor, black and scarred from battle, reflected the courtroom lights as the galaxy watched. We're tuned in, not just humans. Every race, every system, every outpost. They weren't watching for entertainment. They were watching because something was happening that had never happened before. The galaxy was being held accountable. The next prisoner was High Strategist Maltron, the mind behind the containment plan that had turned into the massacre. He didn't look like a strategist now. His robes were torn. His hair was thin, his skin pale. But his eyes still carried pride, as if he believed he had done nothing wrong. "I followed the law," Maltron said calmly. Graves didn't blink. "Whose law? Certainly not humanity's, and not any law that values life." Maltron smirked. "There were riots, fear, infection. We stopped it." "You didn't stop it," Graves said sharply. "You erased it." The screen behind them lit up with images: burned cities, empty streets, bloodied walls. Testimonies were played. Survivors spoke about the screams, about the fire that rained from the sky, about the robotic executioners who didn't ask questions. The court fell silent. Even Maltron didn't speak again. At the end, he was found guilty like the others. But his trial left a deeper scar, because his voice had held no regret, no guilt. Only belief, and that made Earth even more angry. Back on the Retribution, Earth's supercarrier, analysts worked day and night. They weren't just collecting names anymore. They were building timelines, reviewing war logs, hacking hidden databases, exposing deals and bribes that led to the order to kill. They found something horrifying. The 50,000 were only the beginning. Another document was uncovered. A Phase 2 plan. It showed that the Council had planned to use the same cleansing Method on at least 10 more planets' worlds with rising populations, growing independence, and human colonies. One of those colonies had been New Bristol, a peaceful city on the moon of Xeros-4. Earth realized something terrifying. The Council had not just attacked, they had been preparing a systematic removal of threats, and humanity had been at the top of that list. Commander Graves shared the documents with the galaxy. The files were made public. Every detail. Every name. What followed was chaos. Riots broke out across Council planets. Citizens demanded answers. Protesters filled streets. Council buildings were burned. Even military officers began refusing orders. The Council tried to hold things together. Cracks were everywhere, and Earth kept pushing. Another broadcast was sent, this one from the President of Earth. She stood in front of a black banner. No flag, no symbol. Only darkness behind her. "We are not here to conquer," she said. "We are not here to rule. But we will not let this kind of crime live. In the shadows, to every innocent race watching know this, we stand with you. But to those hiding behind power, behind money, behind politics, we are coming." That message changed everything now. Small races once ignored by the Council started sending messages to Earth. One by one, they told stories of lost villages, of secret military actions, of cleansing orders that were never questioned. The Council had done this before, but now, someone was listening, and Earth started a new program, not war. Not trials, truth, missions, human envoys, escorted by elite guard units. Landed on planets that had been silenced for decades. They dug up mass graves. They opened hidden prisons. They found ruins of cities that had been erased from maps. On one planet, a school full of alien children had been burned with plasma. On another, a hospital ship had been shot down by accident. Each time, Earth collected data, and each time they sent a message back to the galaxy. We remember. Do you? But not everyone welcomed Earth's presence, eh? Group known as the Ironacker former Council military leaders banded together. To resist, they saw Earth's justice as a threat. They claimed Earth was just hiding its own crimes, so they attacked. Their fleet ambushed a human, medical convoy in Sector 9. 7 ships were destroyed. 30 doctors were killed. Earth responded. In a way no one expected. They didn't send warships. They sent one. The Silent Spear, it arrived quietly. It didn't fire a shot. Instead, it hacked into the Iron Accord's fleet. Within minutes, all weapons were offline. Communications shut down. Engines frozen. And then Earth broadcast their faces lived to the galaxy. Every officer, every pilot, do not hide behind uniforms, Graves said. The galaxy sees you now. Stand down, or your names will join the list of the hunted. Most surrendered. Some chose death, but the message was clear. Wasn't using brute force. It was using fear of truth, fear of exposure, because in a galaxy ruled by secrets, truth was the most dangerous weapon of all. More council members fled. Some paid for protection. Some tried to disappear. But Earth's shadows kept moving. One by one, the guilty were captured. Sometimes dead, sometimes alive. But they were always caught. By now, the Council had lost nearly half its power. Its fleets were smaller. Its leaders either gone or hiding. Whole planets had declared neutrality. But Earth had one final goal. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't punishment. It was the creation of a new, galactic accord. An agreement that protected the innocent, punished the guilty, and never allowed a massacre. Like the 50,000 to happen again, Graves and Earth's leaders knew. The battle wasn't over. But they also knew the tide had turned, because now, when Earth spoke, the galaxy listened, and when Earth acted, the stars watched in silence. They watched a planet once ignored rise in power. Not because of its weapons, not because of its wealth, but because of its unbreakable. Will define the truth now, matter what. And in that silence, across planets, moons, and dark stations, many began to whisper a new name for humanity. They didn't call them humans anymore. They called them the Reckoning, The galaxy had started calling them the Reckoning, a name whispered with fear and respect.
There's never wanted the title.
But after the deaths of 50,000 innocent humans and the lies that followed, they carried it like a badge. They didn't come to beg, they didn't come to forgive. They came to show the truth and to make sure the galaxy never forgot what was done. Commander Graves stood on the bridge of the Silent Spear, watching a red star burn outside the window. Around the star was a dying system, planets with scorched surfaces, broken satellites, empty cities floating in the black. One planet, Coral Prime, had once been home to millions. Now it was silent. The Council had said it was destroyed by a mining accident. Earth found something else in the wreckage. They discovered data cores showing the Truth-Attest weapon made by the Council was launched into the planet's core. To test planetary destabilization, they knew millions would die. They called it acceptable loss. Graves clenched his jaw. Prepare the file. The galaxy needs to see this. Every truth Earth uncovered was worse than the last. And each time, they didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with information, raw, ugly, and undeniable. But Earth had another mission now. They weren't just revealing old crimes. They were hunting the ones responsible. And at the top of the list was Elios Var, the man who signed the original execution order. Once the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Council, he had vanished after the first human tribunal. He was a ghost now. No records, no trace. But Earth never gave up. That night, as Graves returned to his command room, a shadow agent appeared. On the screen, we found him, the agent said. Graves leaned forward. Where? Planet Varric 7, deep cover. He's using a false name, surrounded by mercenaries. How sure are we? The agent smiled. Biometric scan confirms. It's him. Graves stood slowly. His eyes were cold. Send the team. Earth's most elite soldiers Unit 7 was already waiting. These weren't regular troops. They were enhanced, trained for silent entries. Zero-fail missions. They didn't wear flags. They didn't give speeches. They just ended things. Unit 7 arrived on Varric 7 like shadows in the wind. No one saw them land. No alarms were triggered. They moved through the jungle silently there. Armor camouflaged to the trees and night sky. The city ahead was a lawless outpost, built from metal scraps, guarded by mercs and former council troops. Inside a tall tower, Elios Var was hiding, still living like a king. Guards surrounded him. But he didn't look worried. He thought Earth had forgotten. He was wrong. The attack came fast. Unit 7 used stun waves to knock out the front line. Drones hacked the security system. Explosives blasted through steel walls. Gunfire echoed, short and brutal. Within minutes, the entire tower was under Earth's control. Var was found trying to crawl through a hidden tunnel, still wearing silk robes. When unit leader Kane stood over him, Var finally spoke. I did what had to be done. Kane didn't reply. He pressed a button. Var's face appeared on every broadcast screen in the galaxy. He was pale, shaking, caught. This is Elios Var, Graves said in a voiceover. This is the man who signed the death of 50,000. This is the man who called it protocol. This is the man who vanished while the galaxy wept. Billions watched in silence. Var was placed in stasis and brought to Earth's Tribunal Stationa. Massive structure orbiting above the destroyed ruins of New Bristol. The station wasn't just a court, it was a memorial. A warning grave stood before VAR in the main chamber. The audience was silent. No applause, no celebration, only judgment. Do you deny it? Graves asked. VAR looked up, his voice thin. I only did what the council approved. I was not alone. Graves stepped closer. No, but... The night sky over Earth was calm, full of stars. But inside the Truth Alliance's war room, silence was not peace. It was pressure. Every face in the room was focused. Screens showed live feeds from over 100 planets. Data streams flowed fast. Threat signals blinked red across several sectors. Commander Graves stood at the front. His eyes locked on one feed in particular. It came from a patrol drone near the forbidden edge of the rim zone, a dead area, where nothing had moved for years. But something had changed. The drone had captured images of a fleet, silent, massive, unknown origin. It was parked near the Black Dwarf, son of Sector Null. "Run the energy signature again," Graves said sharply. A tech officer replied, "It's real, sir. Over 200 Capital-class warships. No flags, no broadcasts. But the design. It's old pre-council." The room fell still. Pre-council ships were thought to be destroyed long ago. These were ghost ships from a forgotten war. But now they were active, fully armed, and waiting. Another officer spoke, this time with fear in her voice. "Sir, ... of the holes shows markings of the ancient Anchorin line." Everyone looked up. The Anchorin line was banned, tech biomechanical warships that once fed on star systems. They had been shut down after the Treaty of Eldros. Even speaking about them was forbidden. Graves clenched his fists. "Get me orbital defense. Wake every fleet." Back at Earth's tribunal station, Elios Var watched the news from his transparent cell. His face had changed, no longer arrogant, now pale and cold. He spoke softly to the guard. "You're not ready for what's coming." The guard didn't answer, but his words were sent to Graves within the hour. Graves ordered an emergency session of the Truth Alliance Council. When the council began, representatives from every major colony and ally planet appeared via hologram. Earth's president spoke first. "A silent fleet sits at the edge of our stars," she said. "They show no banner. They send no message. But they are not lost. They are waiting." Some asked if it could be diplomacy. Others feared a trap. But one representative, thin, gray-skinned elder from Rashakor, spoke slowly and calmly. "We have seen this before. Before Earth joined the stars, before the council even had rules, there was a group, a shadow army. They called themselves the Restoration." Eyes widened. The name was only rumor, a story told by old captains who had served during the early expansion days. The elder continued. "They were not just military, they were scientists, kings, and hidden rulers. When the old council shut them down, they vanished. But they swore to return. Not with laws, but with domination. They believe in silence through fear." Earth's president leaned forward. "Why now?" "Because Earth changed the balance," the elder said. "You expose the lies. You punish the powerful. The Restoration sees you as a disease, and they have come to cure it." Council fell silent then. Graves spoke. "Then we stop waiting. We take the first step." The plan was fast. Earth launched a recon fleet with stealth capability. Their target, infiltrate one of the enemy ships and recover any plans or communications. The mission went to Unit 7 again, the same team who caught VAR, led by Kane. They prepared in silence, understanding the weight of the task.
They weren't
just fighting soldiers. They were entering a war with ghost monsters from the past who knew every dirty trick in the book. Their ship, Vanguard Ghost, slipped into the rim zone under cloak. They approached the silent fleet slowly, like a leaf drifting toward a fire. One of the enemy ships was partially open, as if inviting them in. Kane and his team entered through the breach. What they saw inside made even them freeze. The halls were alive, not just machinery. Living walls pulsed with veins and fluids. The ship was grown, not built. Eyes blinked from the metal. Whispers echoed through the tunnels, even though no one spoke. They moved carefully, downloading data from every panel they found. Suddenly a scream pierced the hallway, but it didn't come from the speakers. It came from the ship itself. The walls twisted, the lights turned. Red security systems awoke. Turrets dropped from the ceiling. Creatures part metal, part flesh rose from pods. Kane shouted, "Move." Exfil now? The team fought their way out. Lasers burned. Flesh and circuits flew. One soldier was pulled into the wall, vanished. Another lost his arm but kept firing. They reached their ship and blasted out just as the enemy vessel began to shift and close like a jaw. Back in Earth space, Kane handed Graves the data core. We were never meant to leave, he said. Graves stared at the core. Knowing whatever was inside would change everything, engineers cracked it. It's open within hours, and the truth made everyone in the room silent again. The restoration's plan was simple. Operation Cinder. They would strike 10 core planets at once, using PSL, living warships, and bioweapons. But worse, they had infiltrated the remaining council systems. Some leaders were still working with them in secret. They weren't just planning an attack. They were planning to rebuild the old empire under one ruler, using fear and obedience, and Earth. Earth was marked for elimination, not for power, not for revenge, but for what it represented: freedom, truth, rebellion. The Restoration didn't fear Earth's weapons. They feared Earth's idea. Graves closed the report. Then he looked at the command team. No more secrets. Broadcast this. Let the whole galaxy see what's coming. Every channel lit up. The message was sent across stars. Ships paused mid-flight. Planets stopped their songs. All eyes turned to Earth once more, and Earth said only one thing: we are not afraid. The galaxy now knew the truth. The enemy was awake. The old shadow had returned. But Earth would not kneel. It would lead. And the final war was about to begin. The moment Earth's message reached the galaxy, everything changed. People on distant planets stopped what they were doing. Miners dropped their tools. Traders turned off their radios. Soldiers held their breath. The message was clear, loud, and unshakable. We are not afraid. But fear had already spread. The Restoration was real. Their plan was moving fast. 10 major planets were targeted. Most of them didn't even know yet. They were dancing on the edge of destruction and smiling, unaware. Commander Graves stood on the observation deck of the Titan's Oath, Earth's flagship. Behind him, the final battle plan was being drawn. No longer was it just a mission to survive. It was a mission to destroy the shadows once and for all. Below Earth's orbit, thousands of ships floated in formation. It was the largest human fleet ever created. Allies from smaller colonies joined. Them not all trusted Earth, but they had no choice now. The enemy didn't want a war, they wanted control. Inside the war room, Graves pointed at a hologram of the galaxy. We hit them first, he said. Kane stood beside him, bruised but alive. After the last mission, he stared at the enemy fleet locations. What about the traitors inside the council? He asked. Graves looked him in the eye. We named them, exposed them. If they'd still fight with the Restoration, we'd treat them like enemies. Kane nodded. They had no time left for weak hearts. At the same moment, inside a hidden star system, far beyond the rim zone, the Restoration leaders gathered. They sat around a long black table. Their faces were calm, confident, untouched by fear. One of them, tall and dressed in robes of silver and bone, spoke softly. Earth still believes in honor, in truth. That's their weakness. Another leader, a woman with no eyes and a voice like wind, replied, Then let's take their truth away. The Restoration fleet began to move. Like shadows rising from the ocean, their warships slipped into hyperspace, heading toward their targets. But Earth was ready before the enemy could strike. Earth launched its own secret project, something no one in the galaxy had seen before. It was called Project Revenant. Kane had only heard whispers of it. It's a myth, a last resort. But now it was real, and it was terrifying. As the fleets moved into position, Graves gave the final command. Release the Revenants. Far above, giant containers opened in the silence of space. Out floated black pods. Hundreds of them, each shaped like a coffin, but larger. Inside each one was a super soldier. These were not ordinary troops. These were people who had died on battlefields, their bodies recovered, their minds scanned and uploaded. They had been brought back part human, part machine, all fury. They had no fear, no hesitation. And they remembered every war, every death, every betrayal. The galaxy had executed 50,000 Earth citizens. Now Earth sent back 500. Revenants for each 1,000 lost. The enemy's first wave arrived at Planet Ceros, expecting a soft target. Instead, they were met with fire. The Revenants landed first. They moved like shadows, fast and brutal. Their weapons were alive with fire. They didn't speak. They didn't stop. Every enemy ship that touched the atmosphere was torn apart before it hit the ground. Across the galaxy, similar battles began. Each restoration fleet found Earth's soldiers already waiting. Each time, Earth was one step ahead. How? The answer shocked everyone. Earth had cracked the enemy code. During the last mission, Kane's team had downloaded a virus hidden in the enemy's living ships. Earth's best minds turned it into a weapon, a digital spy that gave Earth live updates. On every move the Restoration made, now, shadows were blind. The hunted had become the hunter, in one battle after another. The Restoration's fleets were crushed. Their surprise had become a curse, but the final battle had not yet begun. It would happen in the Bleeding Zone, an area near a collapsed star, where time itself moved strangely. That's where the Restoration leader's main ship was hiding. That's where Earth would end this war. Graves, Kane, and the fleet arrived after.